Hey, what's up, guys? Travis Peters here. Got another great lesson for you. I'm going to talk to you today about 3 steps you can do right now to begin working on becoming a better steward of God's money. This is a topic Christians are obsessed with pretty much, is how do I become a better steward? What does that mean? Please, if you haven't already, like and subscribe to this channel. I want you to check out on my YouTube and my podcast. I got other trainings on being a good steward and how I've got a basically completely different view than most Christians do, and I can back all of it up in the Word. But the point here is, when we think of being a good steward, we typically think of spend as little money as possible. We think that's synonymous. A great steward spends as little money as possible. They're super frugal, they're super cheap, they're super thrifty, they clip coupons, they shop at Goodwill, they don't buy new cars, they buy fixer-upper homes, or they live in small apartments because they can be happy with that, right? Like, we've got this weird misconception that that's being a good steward. And one, there are no scriptures that say a good steward is a cheap person who spends as little money as possible. That definition is not in the Bible. Again, please watch my other videos or listen to my other podcasts. I don't want to go reteach all of that right now, but a good steward simply knows how his master would have him handle money. See, a steward is a manager of somebody else's affairs, stuff, or possessions. So when we talk about being a great steward of God's money, all we need to know is, how does my master, how does God, what's his nature towards money? How does he handle money? How does he look at things? And once I know that, now I can imitate it, and I can be like a little mini version of him, a steward, a caretaker, a manager of his money and stuff. I just need to know how he does it so that I can model that and be a good steward. Well, as we learned in the parable of the talents, the servant who went and hid his money and did nothing with it for fear of losing it, that person was called wicked and lazy, and later he was called worthless, and that was taken from him. The little money he had was taken from him and given to the person who increased it the most. So we learn from that parable that a good servant, a good steward, increases what the master gives him. Not just holds on to it out of fear, but takes it and does something with it to increase it. All right? That's the concept here. So what can we do to become being a better steward? What are 3 quick steps? And I'll probably make a follow-up video to this, because as I was kind of just coming up with these, as I was kind of working on this little message here, I realized there's a lot more to it. Now, I do, of course, go deeper into all the stuff inside of my courses, Kingdom Money Mastery, Increase University, and all those things. So I'm not going to reteach all of it here. That would take way too long. Now, first step, here's what I have anybody do. Again, if you're going through Kingdom Money Mastery, one of the first steps I have you guys do is just remove the mystery and confusion around your personal finances. All we really need to do, I don't teach to live a super budgeted life and all that stuff, no. But what we need to do is we need to know what's going on. Because a lot of us don't even know how much money actually goes out. We got so many subscriptions these days, and your Netflix, your Hulu, your Disney Plus, your gym membership, your DoorDash, your grocery delivery, your all those things, right? I've got a ton of them myself. But we need to at least know what's going on. The Bible calls the devil the author of confusion. And a lot of us are confused about what's going on in our money. That means the enemy is working hard to keep us confused. Have you ever had the thought, where'd all my money go? I should have more than this. What's happening? I just got paid. Right? Well, we need to go in. And it doesn't take long. You can go to your bank's website, and there's usually a button where you can sort by expenses, and it'll show you all the money that went out. We just need to find out what's going on, how much is going out, and when. And then another thing that we need to do is know how much money's coming in. I've talked to several people who actually don't even know what their income is. They know about what it is, and they know they make $60,000 a year, but they've never really looked at, perhaps, the husband makes 60 grand and the wife manages the finances, or maybe vice versa, and they don't actually know, after taxes and investing in their 401k and all that stuff and auto deposit, direct deposit, Like literally, yeah, I make $60,000 a year, but that means on the first of the month I get a check for $2,422. And then on the 15th of the month I get another one for $2,422. Like they just need to know that exact amount. So all I got to do again is just go to your banking app and you can sort by deposits. And let's just find out how much actually comes in and how much actually goes out. I know it sounds super simple, but it's the first step into becoming a better steward of God's money. Again, I just want to know what's going on. It's just a rough deal. I personally couldn't tell you the exact amount of money that goes out. I can tell you ballpark. I can get close enough, and then I mentally round it up a little bit for kind of a little safety net in there, and just do that. Just kind of find out find out roughly what's going in and roughly what's going out. That's step number one. We need to remove the mystery. So even if you don't like what you see, at least you can say, okay, I know what's going on, and now I know what I need to shift, what I need to adjust. I know a target I have to aim for. And if you've been around the increase message, the increase movement that we have going on here, if you've been around us at all, you know that there's two ways to look at things, right? You can try to spend less than you make, or you can try to make more than you spend. We choose to take the latter route. We are a people who believes in increase and abundance, not decrease, lack, and scarcity. So if you look at those numbers and it's not good, maybe more is going out than you realized, well, let's take a look at that. Don't get discouraged. Don't get down. And let's just say, okay, Lord, I need increase here. All right, God, what's my increase plan here? And that's going to lead me into step number 2 of being a great steward. So step 1, we're just going to figure out what's going on with our money. And I'll just give you a little bonus tip. Here's kind of what we teach inside of Kingdom Money Mastery. Again, I'll tell you how to get access to that if that's something you guys really want to dive into, which I highly recommend. But what we do is we find out where our money's going, when it goes out, and how much is coming in. And then we do the track and split method. It's just simply, I want you to track what's going on, and then we're going to split our bills into 2 segments. So I'll show you how to split them. Basically, if you get paid on the 1st, there's going to be a series of bills that you have to pay between the 1st and the 15th. I'll show you how to set those up so that it all comes out one time like a Band-Aid, and then how to split 50% of your bills to the second half of the month so that you don't do this weird thing where you got this roller coaster money deal. You don't really know how much is coming in, coming out. You got stuff earmarked, but then you accidentally spend money. It just gives you like a great strategy plan that makes it super simple. There's no budgeting apps needed. We're not doing the envelope system. None of that stuff. It's just a super simple method and strategy to be like, okay, I know exactly where my money is. I know exactly when it comes out. I know exactly how much I have. This is awesome. No, it like removes the fear and confusion and question marks and mystery around your money. You can have financial certainty. And again, even if you don't like what you see, now we know where to go from here. A lot of people never hit their goals because they don't know where they're actually starting from. And that's kind of what I'm trying to get you to do, is know where you're starting from so we can set the correct goals and have that path to get there. All right. So step number 2, after you've done that, step number 2, you really just need to know and understand God's nature towards money and how his money works in the kingdom. So we talk about God's kingdom economics. It has to, kingdom money mastery. It's God's way of doing money. And it's all throughout the Bible. And it's things like, the first thing we want to know or what we want to do is tithe. Malachi 3:10 talks about when you bring the first 10% of your income into the storehouse. And that references, if you study it out, it references the local church where you were fed spiritually. That's where your tithe goes. And when you do that, when you make sure God's house and God's people are funded and taken care of, they have their provision they need to continue to be the man or woman of God in your life, continue to pastor and continue to do these things. When you do that, when you fund God's work, man, it says he opens the windows of heaven above your life. And one translation says, pours out a blessing far beyond your wildest dreams. Another translation says far beyond your needs. Some translations say he'll pour out a blessing so great you won't have room to contain it all. It goes on to say he will rebuke the devourer for your sake. Your crops will be abundant. That just means like your businesses, your job, what you go and produce will be abundant. You're sowing seed and you're reaping an abundant harvest because the devourer is rebuked off your life. You're a tither. These are the benefits and perks that come with tithing. And then Malachi 3 verse 12 says, people will look at your land and call it a delight. They will know that God is with you. That's the life of a tither. God's kingdom economics, Proverbs 11, 24 and 25. It talks about that the generous will be made wealthy. The stingy end up losing everything, right? Opposite of how the world thinks. That word stingy, if you study it out, it means unwilling to give, unwilling to spend, and ungenerous. Those people who are unwilling to give, unwilling to spend, and who are ungenerous, their world gets smaller and smaller is what the Message translation says. They will end up losing everything. And that's what's different between the world's way and God's way. The world seems like, man, they teach you to hold on to your money. Remember the unfaithful steward? The one from the parable of the talents, who held on to his money out of fear. He was unwilling to spend, unwilling to do anything with it. He was called wicked and lazy. It was taken from him and given to the guy who produces and knows how to increase. So we know God's nature towards money and wealth. And another fun fact when we talk about being good stewards of his money and operating like he operates with money. If you remember back in, I believe it's in the book of Kings, when God gave Solomon the plans to build his temple. He said, Solomon, I'm going to have you build my temple. And he gave him the ingredients, so to speak. I need you to use these materials. It was the finest of cedar wood. It was ruby, onyx, jasper, gold, silver. It was the most expensive and luxurious thing in probably the whole planet at the time, I'm sure. Today, the experts estimate it was worth $194 billion with a B. And God architected that and designed it and said, here's how I want you to use my stuff. I want you to use the finest materials, the best materials. I mean, this building took people's breaths away. It was so wonderful. But that's God's nature towards money. I got to understand this stuff if I want to be a good steward. Otherwise, I'm just going to go try to spend as little money as possible, downsize my house, drive a crappy car that breaks down all the time, but at least it's paid off, right? And I do like all those, clip my coupons. Now I don't go to the gym anymore. I cut cable, and don't even watch Netflix. Like, I don't know. It's just like, I get messages every day. People either in my Facebook groups or emails or Messenger or comments on my YouTube stuff. And every single day somebody's like, I've been following, and names these certain financial teachers in the Christian space, been following their advice for years. I've cut everything I can. I can't cut any more expenses, and I've lived paycheck to paycheck for years. I'm tired of struggling. I don't take vacations. I don't do anything. I have zero nice things. I don't eat out. Basically, like, I followed their advice of spending as little as possible, and it didn't get me anywhere. And if you're watching this, you're probably thinking the same thing. I'm telling you, I get it every single day. Well, it's because that advice does not lead to wealth. That advice leads to a nice middle class life, we'll put it that way. But that's not for you. If you're watching this, you don't want a middle class life. You are God's highest form of creation. You are made in his likeness and his image, and nothing about you is middle class. You're a 1%er. I teach inside of my programs, a little lesson on upgrading your identity. And it talks about how we see ourselves. And I believe God made you first class on the inside. And what that translates to is we live first class lives on the outside. I made a commitment years ago that I fly first class. I don't shop prices. I just fly first class because I'm a Christian. Remember, people will look at my land and call it a delight. I've flown first class, and yes, though people hate on that, but I've also had, the reason I do it is because it influences people. I've literally had people see me fly first class and then message me later and say, I saw you flying first class. It made me realize that I've been seeing myself incorrectly. I'm a first class person too. God has made me in his likeness and his image. And the conversation begins to start of like, I've been seeing things wrong. I've been seeing myself as a poverty person, as a lowly person, as oh, I'm just an economy person. I'm not one of those guys. I'm not one of that first class is for rich people. Hey, you better stop making fun of rich people. You're supposed to be one of them. Remember Deuteronomy 8:18? God gave you the power to get wealth, to establish the Abrahamic covenant he made with your ancestors. You have a blessing covenant. Galatians 3:29 says the promises he made Abraham, the promise to make Abraham wealthy, remember that? And other things along with it was to make him wealthy. That he says in Galatians 3:29, if you're in Christ, it belongs to you too. One of the reasons you may not be wealthy yet is because you've been making fun of them or seeing them as a different class of those people. Well, yeah, you will never be one. You will never have what they have if you're always saying it's those people. No. This is my people. This is our people. This is us. I'm one of them. You have to make that perspective shift, or you cannot move up to new levels. It just won't happen because you'll self-sabotage. I just see myself as this. I'm an economy person. I just want to drive a 2004 Toyota Camry. And all right, I'm getting off track. You guys are getting me riled up. I'm getting excited here. Step 1 of being a good steward. You guys like how concise and concrete this message is? Step 1, you're going to remove the mystery confusion around your money. You're going to do the track and split method. All right. Step 2, we need to understand how God's economy works. In God's economy, we tithe and we receive the windows of heaven open above our lives. That's where the blessing comes. That's where opportunity comes. We sow seed. Remember, the generous are made wealthy. We are generous people. We give. We sow seed. We operate in the laws of seed, time, and harvest. We sow and we reap. That's how money flows to us. God's nature is abundance. God's nature is luxury and wealth and the nice things. Remember Isaiah 1:19? Those who are willing and obedient will eat the best of the land. This is God's nature towards things. His people have the best of the land. And then step 3, I want you to set I call this, again, I'm just going high level here, but I teach this more deep in all the tactics and steps inside of Kingdom Money Mastery. But we're going to set what I call a high impact goal. So a lot of people come to me and they're like, Trav, should I pay off debt first? Should I put a certain amount in savings first? Should I start investing right now? What should I do? And my answer is get with your spouse and discuss what's the highest impact goal. Pray about it too, of course. Bring the Holy Spirit into your decisions. What's my high impact goal here? And that means what's going to have the highest impact on your life. So there's some things you could pay off. You could pay off a credit card and logically it might make more sense to, because if I pay off that credit card, it's got the highest interest rate and I'm paying so much extra on it and yada yada. But there might be another move that would actually have a higher impact on you. For instance, maybe you've got a second mortgage and the second mortgage is just bugging you. It feels heavy on you, more so than the credit card payment. It feels heavy on you because, man, if I got the second mortgage paid off, I could invest in this other rental property, or whatever reason. Just we need to decide what goal is going to have the highest impact on you, your spouse, how you feel, and your momentum. That might be, I want to have $20,000 in a savings account because that's going to give me some confidence to go and take some business risks. And when I take those business risks, I can move on the thing God called me to do, and I feel I'm excited about it, blah, blah. Again, the answer doesn't really, there's no set answer here through the methods I believe and teach on, do you pay off debt first? Do you save up money first? Do you invest next? You need to figure out between you and your spouse what's the highest impact money move you can make, the highest impact goal. And once you have that, man, if I got that second mortgage paid off, we would both feel like, oh, this feels great. That would have the highest impact on you. So lock in what that is, get excited about it, and then put that plan into place. All right, start taking steps on that. If it is, I was talking to a friend of mine the other day, and I was like, I realized I want to pay my house off. So this house is not paid off yet. I want to pay it off. But then I realized I haven't made one extra mortgage payment in the past year on this house. Well, how's it going to get paid off then? I got to start taking steps. it hit me. I was like, oh yeah, I'm not even making moves on this myself. Well, let's go. Let's open another savings account and start knocking off some debt. And then every single month, let's put a big extra chunk towards this thing. Like, let's get some action going. Come on, guys. You know, it's kind of like a duh moment for me. But you need to look at your life and say, am I doing that as well? Where can you do that? How can you implement that? So those are my 3 steps for you today. And I bet you they're steps that you've never heard before. And I bet you they're steps that no one else is teaching you when it comes to being a good steward. And I think if you start taking action steps on these things today, things are going to begin to change for you. This money financial revolution, this increased movement that is happening in the body of Christ right now is going to start happening in your life also. So quick recap. Step 1, you're going to remove the mystery and confusion around your money. You're going to track what's going on. We're going to split our bills. 2, we're going to understand God's nature and his kingdom economics. Right? I give you a couple scriptures to look up there. 3, we're going to set your high impact money goal. You're going to lock into it with your spouse. You're going to get excited about it, and you start building momentum towards it, taking steps towards it today. Figure out what your next action step is. And if you need another action step, I got one for you. I want you to go over to financialincrease101.com. What's going to happen is I'm going to teach you. I got a free guide for you. It's going to start teaching you how to start living this life of financial increase that God has made available to us. And it's all without budgeting. I'm not going to tell you to cut your expenses. I'm not going to even tell you to be more disciplined or anything like that. These are going to be lessons, steps, and tactics you probably ain't never heard of, but they're going to result in this awesome life of abundance and true prosperity. First thing I'll probably have you do as you go through the guide is I'm going to have you join the Increase Challenge. I call it the Release Your Increase Challenge. And it's going to locate and eliminate all the hidden poverty mindset and beliefs that our parents taught us, our grandparents taught us, that old pastors and preachers have taught us, that have literally limited us and held us back. It's going to show you the enemy's tactics that he uses to keep Christians poor. So now that you know about them, you can stop doing them and you can finally have that increased flow come into your life. So head over to there, financialincrease101.com. It'll put you in the challenge. And at the end of the challenge, I tell you about my programs. You'll be ready for Kingdom Money Mastery and Increase University and my higher level coaching programs. They're going to revolutionize your life. So head over there. Make sure you share this video with anybody you know who needs it, who needs to hear it. It'll bless them. And again, like and subscribe. It helps the algorithm push this video out to more Christians so we can keep this increase movement going. Because we're going to make a lot of money, guys, and then we're going to help a lot of people, and we're going to further the kingdom, and we're going to build churches and fund missionaries and pay off people's debts, and we're going to do a lot of good. But guess what? It requires money to do that, and I'm going to help you get more of it. Because you're a generous person, and you're going to do generous things with it. All right. Love you guys. I'll see you in the next one.